Okie dokie. Gonna go ahead and send out the text message here for any of the stragglers. Send. Alright, let me go ahead. Oopsie daisies. Get out of here. Oh no, I clicked the wrong button. Okay, let me reload, make sure my chat starts working. If you are here, go ahead, say something in the chat so I can say hi to you. Let's see, I know we got some people coming in here. Rumble, we got a few people coming in on Rumble. Say hi, Rumble. Say hi. All right, folks. Gonz is questioning me. Gonz is questioning my own eyes. Oh, we've got an alert on something. Okay, folks, sorry about this. Just making sure everything's streaming. Wow, we stream to a lot of places. That's unsettling. Okay. All right. Oh yeah, DLive is broken, folks. Sorry about that. DLive updated their system, and we're not able to get on it right now. So hopefully the DLive viewers can find another place to watch the show. Hello, what do we got? We got 22 go to Sir Dylan, not of the Wailing Avian. Hola. Wow, been a while. The Spirit Man lives. Okay, folks. Good. People are making it in. The text message is out. And remember, if you want to receive the text message before every show, go to your phone and text the word Canary to 877-740-3226. That's Canary to 877-740-3226. I am seeing people text the number all sorts of different things, indicating that they would like to be on the list, but I cannot put you on the list. You have to text the word Canary, not start, not message me, not hello, none of that. You gotta text the word Canary. Very simple. 877-740-3226. Okay. We got Marty K, Daniel G in the chat. There we go. Rumble just keeps growing. Nobody's talking to me in Rumble. Come on, Rumble. Say hi. Okay. Where was I? Oh, I want to encourage you guys, if you're not on the newsletter, you really should get on the newsletter. And you can go to canarycry.party. Here's the thing. It had been a while since we'd updated canarycry.party, and I went there, and it was a mess. So I cleaned it up. It was really hard to find the newsletter link. Sorry about that, everybody. But I cleaned it up. You'll find the newsletter link right there at the top. Just click on that. You can also join the text message alert system on that as well. Okie dokie. Oh, just a little pre-secret for you here in the pre-show. Sir Ike, the master and commander of the supply drop, had a wonderful idea, and I think it was great, so we're doing it. In order to get the ball rolling on ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts again, Sir Ike has generously volunteered to manage and execute a little bit of a review giver giveaway. So if you go to Apple Podcasts, easiest way to do it is if you have an iPhone, it's a purple icon that says podcast. Click on that and leave us a rating and a review. Go find Canary Cry News Talk. Maybe we can include Canary Cry Radio in that too. Maybe you've left a review for Canary Cry Radio, but not Canary Cry News Talk. I know people still need reminding that they're two different shows. Or maybe you've left a review for CCNT and not CCR. Whatever the case, if you go leave a review, either a new review or update an older review, screenshot that and email it to canarycrysupply.drop.com. That's canarycrysupply.drop.com. Listen to my words. The email is canarycrysupply.drop.com, not canarycrynewstalk.com. Email your screenshot there, and you will be entered into a fun we can't call it a raffle because that has laws around it, but it's just a fun. You'll receive a fun chance to receive free Canary Cry gear. That's right. We have a little bit of this, a little bit of that that's been left over from manufacturing runs. So maybe you aren't a supply dropper, maybe you can't afford it. Whatever the case may be, you can leave a rating and a review, or update your rating and a review. Screenshot it, send it to canarycrysupply@gmail.com, and you'll get multiple chances to win some, to be gifted some cool free stuff, like the Canary Cry mixtape, t-shirts, challenge coins, stickers, all sorts of fun stuff like that. I'm always surprised, even long-time listeners, they will email us with something that sort of indicates that they have not memorized things like canarycry.art or canarycry.report or Canary Cry supply drop. Just an interesting case study in things being invisible to us if we are exposed to them too often. So there you go. Go do that. Recommend it. We want to get some momentum back on the reviews and ratings on Apple Podcasts. It really helps us out. It's a huge part of what helps people find the show. All right. The timer is timed out, folks. So we're going to get the show going. Here we go. Gons is yelling at me. I don't know what he's saying, but I think we're starting the show.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gons as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk, and today is October 6th, 2023. We are live to tape on episode 674. And today, deprogrammifikation. Signing on from Off the Grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy, Basil, and you are not crazy.
But my dog and my son apparently are. He's losing his mind right when we go live. Of course,
yeah,
he
it's
is.
going to be a rowdy one today, folks. I saw. Oh, give your intro before I start yapping.
Yeah, okay. Where's my intro? Oh, hey, it's Gons, director of the Age of Deceit films, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, live to tape from California to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And today's emergent. It's a phenomenon. It's not really a hashtag.
Yeah.
Hillary wants to pillory MAGA.
Okay. There we go. I think I found a solution for the hashtag versus emergent phenomenon.
Mm.
You say today's emergent phenomenon is hashtag Hillary wants to pillory. To
Sure.
put both in there.
Yeah.
Then we please the people who think it's so clever, the connection between emergent phenomenons and hashtags, but we don't have to act like internet natives who just hashtag everything. That's so 2015, Gons.
Yeah, well, until they come up with the new thing, we're just going to be hashtagging everything. Until we hash it on the blockchain.
Oh, there it is.
Yep.
It's interesting. For once, I look at YouTube comments maybe once a quarter. I really do not make a habit of looking at YouTube comments because, people have a lot of nice things to say. I was actually very surprised at how many positive comments that we've been getting recently, but it just takes that one comment, that one mean person to flush it all down the drain. But I will say there's mixed emotions, is what I will say, mixed emotions about the sort of organic feel of the Shimura household with dogs and babies.
Yeah.
99.9% of people love the sort of realness, the authenticity, the peek behind the curtain of what it's like to be a family man and a podcaster 3 times a week. But once in a while, there's somebody who's like, I hate babies and I hate dogs. I don't want to know my podcasters have a life of any kind outside of the podcast. Podcast is life. I don't want to know about your personal life, you monster. And those people, you know, they can go listen to, I don't know, Tim Pool or something. But, Gons, before we get started, let's go ahead and hit that disclaimer.
It's time for a disclaimer.
Now listen up, YouTube.
That's right. And just for all the content moderators and censorship managers out there, be they robots or humans, everything you hear on this show comes directly from the mainstream corporate news media. We do not claim to be experts on healthcare, geopolitics, military strategy, corporate law, or the moral and ethical implications of any of these topics, nor do we implicitly or explicitly support or subscribe to any sources or narratives containing misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation, as defined by the Department of Homeland Security. We're good boys. All right, YouTube, we're good boys. That's right. And Gons, you know, we've always dealt with this, and we really try not to comment on it every single time, but it's very difficult. The fact that we're just have been right about everything, and, you know, the culture as a whole seems to actually get their ideas from us, whether they're, you know, Illuminati roboticists or even sort of mainstream news or even other truther podcasters. We are just ahead of the game too often. And as always, we're ahead of the game at the wrong time before anybody cares. And I will say, there's been a few things on big, huge truther podcasts recently that have me absolutely convinced that Canary Cry News Talk, as multiple listeners have told us, Canary Cry News Talk is the podcaster's podcast, or at least one of them. Yeah, you know, podcaster's podcast. We might not be the biggest, we might not be the fanciest, but podcasters listen to this podcast, and that is so obvious when you listen to their podcast.
Well, that's actually, you know, that's probably a more of a compliment. You know, it's not a direct compliment, but hey, we've been here for a long time. I was just going to comment actually before we get into the rundown here, which normally we do the rundown, but you were talking about the hater comments, and I was always appalled when especially with Face Like the Sun, every video I published, there were accounts that would, you know, publish hate or whatever, or like, you know, just whatever. It didn't even matter if it was what topic I covered. It was whatever I said, the opposite is true. I'm a shill, whatever. And I was always like, wow, these people have a lot of time because they're sitting around waiting for my videos to say something about me, you know?
Yeah. Right.
But what's funny is we've been doing it for so long on YouTube and elsewhere. We kind of outlast some of the haters, you know? It's like we just keep going, and then eventually they run away or go somewhere else. And then we get a new hater, and by the time they come, it's like, you know, hey, we've been through this. We've seen your type. So it's just funny, you know? Consistency and the longevity.
The haters are usually the type that are getting raided by the FBI, and so their internet hate doesn't last long. Okay, let's get on with it. Let's get to the rundown. These are the topics that.
Can you not hear the jingle?
I talked over it. Sorry, Go ahead, hit it.
Oh, look, here's Basil.
Let me bring you up to speed.
There we go. Here's the topics that you will hear next week on everybody else's podcast. We're starting out with a little bit of Trump news. Trump and the FBI, the war against terrorism has not subsided. And of course, we're not talking about Al-Qaeda or ISIS, but they are using the lessons learned from Al-Qaeda and ISIS to fight the real scourge. And we'll let Hillary Clinton tell us all about it. And then some of the most important updates of the day. The Biden's dog commander. The drama continues, signaling possible trouble for the Biden campaign. They'll be checking in with Flippy, where the military possibilities are endless, and I just can't wait until we move into the new world order of geopolitical disputes being solved by giant robot battles, robot jocks. Then checking in on the Great Reset. Oh man, what's the biggest obstacle to climate solutions? Well, of course, it's conspiracy theories. And who are these conspiracy theorists? Well, of course, they're you. Be checking in with NPR and ABC on that. Russia. Oh, man, once again, they really outplay the U.S. while we were all terrified in our bunkers, wrapping our phones in tinfoil, trying not to get our nanobots activated by the fun alert system. Russians, they were going old school, baby. See how they were preparing for World War III at the same time that we were all hiding our phones in the microwave. And then just a quick update on the CDC and what aspect of the COVID era regulations is being trashed this time. And at the end of the show, a little bit of beast fashion. Booyah, let's get going. Gons on our lead stories.
We will launch a new age. I am innocent. Innocent.
What?
They're coming after me. They love killing. They love killing.
It's ham. You can eat the ham. Okay.
The baby wants to
Baby doesn't
eat
like
the
the
ham.
ham.
No.
Maybe he's trying to be.
Baby's kosher.
Yeah.
Baby's kosher.
It's okay. That's
He's
my
keeping
fault.
the
I'm
law
sorry.
of the Lord.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's kick things off here from Newsweek magazine. Of course, Newsweek, your friendly intelligence news outlet. And the headline here: exclusive. Donald Trump followers targeted by FBI as 2024 election nears.
Classic.
Interesting. Yeah. The federal government believes that the threat of violence and major civil disturbance around the 2024 U.S. presidential election is so great that it has quietly created a new category of extremists that it seeks to track and counter: Donald Trump's army of MAGA followers.
Ooh, the army.
By the way,
Army of MAGA followers.
weren't there people in the truth community when Trump was on the rise saying that, like, hey, this is a trap, you know, and they were kind of poo-pooed on. Like, even I remember I was like, because Trump was just so out of left field at the time, right? 2016-ish, thinking, well, it's got to be better than the Hillary thing. The Hillary thing is just egregious, you know, with all the Pizzagate stuff. But in hindsight, it's like, yeah, you can see the trap. You can see the trap was laid very well, and it's worked.
Yeah.
The challenge.
Well, and here's the fun part about this whole topic. Newsweek, as we know, some vaguely intelligence-connected outlet here, so everything must be, read
Seen
in
through
that context. But we're going to bring it up again and again because it's kind of the big thing right now. And we're just astounded over and over at how much it explains about the world around us. And that is fifth generation warfare, the literal war for your mind that is going on right now. We are in a state of war, and the ammunition is mostly media on the internet, and the battlefield is our minds. Again, another opportunity to say that Alex Jones apparently was right all along.
Well,
InfoWars.
He kind of commoditized the idea into popular culture. He was one of the first ones to do it, which may have its own sort of downfalls and problems if you commercialize it
branding.
too much.
It's branding. I mean, let's not be too on the nose about it. It was good branding. It was true in sort of a metaphorical sense when he was doing it, but now it is revealed in the think tank documents, the government documents, that it is actually literal fifth generation warfare. So keep everything we've talked about fifth generation warfare in mind here, and also keep in mind that the FBI has an ongoing, consistent track record, not conspiracy theory, a published, mainstream, admitted, decided in the courts, momentum, consistent habit of creating the threats that they stop. You know, I mean, you can go from Gretchen Whitmer's kidnapping plot, where there were more FBI agents than there were terrorists, and other such events, January 6th.
Yeah.
So keep that all in mind as we move forward in this.
Yep. And just for reference, at the top of the show notes, every single episode, we have a link to the Harvard Education Project, where they tried to list all the U.S. top, the U.S. media ownership. And so you can look up Newsweek. It's number 34 on the list, and it is labeled unclear funding at the top. It's owned by Jonathan Davis and Dev Pragad. But yeah, unclear funding. All right. Okay. Even the funding, even Harvard was like, we don't know where the money comes from to have this established news agency, Newsweek, to have all this attention and publicity.
I'm pretty sure they put on the document unclear funding, wink emoji.
Right. Unclear for the purposes of this publication for Harvard, but very clear for those in the know. Okay, so let me continue here. The challenge for the FBI, the primary federal agency charged with law enforcement, is to pursue and prevent what it calls domestic terrorism without direct reference to political parties or affiliations, even though the vast majority of its current, quote, anti-government investigations are of Trump supporters, according to classified data obtained by Newsweek. Which makes me wonder if that's even true. Like, I get that there's targeted, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. And by the way, this is an exclusive story.
Right. Yes.
It says exclusive. So you have Newsweek, an outlet with questionable funding, mysterious funding, being the only ones with this exclusive story that just screams PSYOP, fifth generation warfare. We're looking right at it.
By the way, just a little more details here. We've talked about this before, but Etienne Uzak was the guy who co-founded International Business Times in 2013, which bought Newsweek. And he actually pleaded guilty for fraud and money laundering charges.
Oopsies.
So, yeah. Oopsie doodle.
No wonder the funding was
questionable. Yeah, that makes sense. And then the current owner, Dev Pragad, and the other one, Jonathan Davis. Davis is married to the president of Christian College Olivet University. So there you go. Yeah, okay. Trickling into the faith there. Okay, back to the article here. Quote, the FBI is in an almost impossible position, says a current FBI official who requested anonymity to discuss highly sensitive internal matters. The official said that the FBI is intent on stopping domestic terrorism and any repeat of the January 6, 2021 attack on the Capitol, which they probably facilitated more so than American citizens, but okay. But the Bureau
That's
must
what's
also
implied in the court documents.
Right. But the Bureau must also preserve the constitutional right of all Americans to campaign, speak freely, and protest the government.
Oh, that's
wow.
easy.
That's
just do that.
Yeah,
then.
just do it.
Just do
Back
that.
off. Back off
You
would be
don't-
the answer. By focusing on former President Trump and his MAGA, Make America Great Again, which has its own magical sort of spell, supporters, the official said the Bureau runs the risk of provoking the very anti-government activists that the terrorism agencies hope to counter.
Oh, really? The
They're going to rise no
FBI
matter what.
provoking and causing the very problem that they will then get accolades for stopping? Weird.
Yeah, weird. Especially this is continuing the quote, especially at a time when the White House is facing congressional Republican opposition claiming that the Biden administration has weaponized the Bureau against the right wing. It has to tread very carefully, says the official, which, and I've talked about I'm still attending the church. I moved, but we're still trying to stay connected to our older church. And one of the members of that church is an FBI. He calls himself a pencil pusher. Doesn't really do stuff on the field, but he kind of works in the back room. And we've had conversations.
Ideas, man.
Idea guy. He does the security at our church or at the church. And I've asked him stuff about some of what's going on with the FBI, and he's expressed concern about the leadership for a long time. He's like, and he's like I think he's a Trump voter. I don't know how much he supports Trump, but he's a Republican, voted for Trump, that kind of thing. So I'm very curious. The next time I see him, I will ask him about this whole situation. I'm sure they've known about it. He's obviously expressed concerns about this type of thing for a while. But yeah, I don't know what it means. It could mean, his job gets replaced by a robot eventually, since
that's the only way.
It's the only way. It's the only thing that makes sense, because you can't have people conducting any kind of investigations through the FBI anymore, because everyone's politicized. You're either helping out the Republicans or you're helping out the Democrats. No matter what you do, you're doing one or the other. And so enter robots. That's our kind of exclusive Canary Cry angle on the whole thing. But
I just want to mention and recognize that we have reported on and heard of the FBI targeting Trump supporters for some time now.
Yeah.
That's not been a surprise, but now we have an actual, it's not even a whistleblower, an anonymous source, which,
guy,
okay, sure, anonymous source, whatever. But the point being that they want to put out the message, the PSYOP is that, an official FBI person is now coming out and saying in the mainstream media that MAGA is getting targeted, and which is really funny when we get some more of these details.
You want me to keep going here on the article?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Where was I? I was at in a statement to Newsweek, the FBI said, quote, "The threat posed by domestic violent extremists is persistent, evolving, and deadly." If I skip something, Basil, let me know. The FBI's goal, did I skip something?
Well, just one thing, quote, "especially at a time when the White House is facing," excuse me. You want to get it? I need to get a drink.
Okay. You're talking about, let me just move back here. Newsweek has also reviewed secret FBI and Department of Homeland Security data that track incidents, threats, investigations, and cases to try to build a better picture. While experts agree that the current partisan environment is charged and uniquely dangerous, parenthetical, with the threat not only of violence, but in the most extreme scenarios, possibly civil war. Many also question whether terrorism is the most effective way to describe the problem, or that the methods of counterterrorism developed over the past decade in response to Al-Qaeda and other Islamic groups constitute the most fruitful way to craft domestic solutions.
I love that.
Okay, yeah.
The admission. There's an admission here, and you might just skip over it, but they're talking about, yes, okay, terrorism. Are we calling it terrorism? Are we not calling it terrorism? Well, they do call it terrorism. It's an interesting sort of little, I don't know, double speak of like, yeah, we're calling them terrorists. MAGA people are terrorists. But should we call them terrorists? I don't know. We're asking the question. But until we find an answer, we're going to call them terrorists. And then they mention that they're questioning whether the methods of counterterrorism developed over the past decade in response to Al-Qaeda and other Islamist groups constitute the most fruitful way to craft domestic solutions, which is another way of saying we are hunting MAGA people as if they are Al-Qaeda.
Yeah.
That is what we are doing. Again, maybe we're questioning if that's the best way to do it. I mean, we spent 20 years in a war that was needless, another sort of money laundering scheme. We gave millions of dollars in cash to pedophile warlords in Afghanistan. We caused coups all over the world. But it's all to fight the terrorists. And we learned lots of lessons about how to kill people overseas who, perhaps we find a threat, or perhaps we just need to up the military-industrial complex budget. But either way, we are hunting MAGA like Al-Qaeda.
This is going to cause fear amongst the MAGA supporters when drones fly over their property.
Yeah. Well, we don't. Guns. We don't want to, spook the MAGA people too much. We don't want to cause pushback from the people that we are hunting, like Al-Qaeda terrorists in the desert. I mean, we are doing that, but we would hate to trigger them and cause fear and get pushback from that group. Oh, that would just be terrible.
Yeah, they get into some of the data behind the FBI's or talk about the data the FBI provided there. It's kind of funny because it kind of throws you around different views and different things. There's a part here. The FBI and DHS report concludes. Yeah, you can eat it. Quote, socio-political developments such as narratives of fraud in the recent, not the facts or any kind of reality-based anything, just narrative.
No.
In the recent general election, the emboldening impact of the violent breach of the U.S. Capitol, conditions related to the COVID-19 pandemic, and conspiracy theories promoting violence will almost certainly spur more domestic terrorists to try to engage in violence. That's what they want.
Notice how everything they're saying, they're listing there, the narrative, they are presenting a narrative which has been debunked several times. Each one of those is a straw man. And these straw men come from the media, planting social posts, planting, fact checks, stuff like that to build the narrative. And then, then everybody else, but including the FBI, pushes that narrative in order to, affect reactions. I mean, they're outright telling us this is fifth generational warfare.
Yeah.
We are fighting a fifth generational war. And actually, the fact that you are reading this exclusive story from an unnamed FBI leader on the Newsweek intelligence connected outlet with questionable funding. This is all part of it, baby. And I think that's all ironic in the context of this quote, a couple paragraphs up, quote, the current political environment is not something that the FBI is necessarily responsible for, nor should it be, says Brian Michael Jenkins, one of the world's leading terrorist experts and senior advisor. Okay.
Terrorist experts. Okay.
And, they keep going back to like Al-Qaeda and stuff like that. And what they're failing to mention, which has been analyzed and published, again, in mainstream outlets, in scientific journals, in think tank papers, that it was exactly our actions in the Middle East fighting terrorism that was creating more terrorism. When we take out a terrorist by bombing his wedding, we create
we make him mad.
50
Oh man.
And we inhabit the lands of another sovereign country. Lo and behold, the people don't like that, and they become terrorists in such the same way that they are hunting MAGA people, honestly, in hopes that they commit terrorist
100%.
acts.
They are stoking the flames for sure.
Yeah, and then turn around and say, yeah, well, the current political environment is not the FBI's. We're not responsible for that.
Oh, right.
Really?
Yeah.
You mean like you weren't responsible for creating more terrorists in Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan and Iraq? I guess maybe the FBI might not have been responsible for the overseas actions. Of course, that was the CIA. But hey, the FBI, there are domestic CIA. The CIA can't come in legally and create political upheaval in the U.S. That's the FBI's job.
Yeah, there's an idea amongst the truth kind of conspiracy theorist circles. It's called revelation of the method. And the idea is that these elite will reveal their methodology, so as to not be held responsible for it. It's like, we told you what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So if you guys fall for it, then it's your fault. Like if you guys still get all MAGA'd up, it's your fault, not ours, because we're telling you what we're going to do to you.
Yes, well, it's part of the sort of occult underpinnings of everything.
Right,
and, I've seen some TikTokers, some kind of new agey TikTokers talk about it in that context too. But, with the predictive programming and stuff like that and the media, stuff like this is somehow, the theory is, or at least the metaphor is, that they have to tell you their plans,
right?
And often do it in a way that is kind of deceptive, because then they don't have the right to do it to you. Once they tell the public the plan,
no, they have the right to do it to you. You mean?
No. What I'm saying is, once they tell the public the plan, then they have the right to do it.
Right.
And that could be taken in several contexts. There's an occult context there. There's kind of there's all sorts of
rule
ways
of law, Basil. Rule of law. Rule of law in the New World Order.
Right. Exactly.
Got to tell them before you kill them. Well,
because if we don't resist, then that's us consenting.
Right. They want that for some things, but I'm sure they want to make things more interesting. Yeah, that's milk. You can drink milk, buddy.
Ooh, ham and milk.
Yeah.
What a classic toddler.
Well, there's
lunchtime
bananas
snack.
here too. Some illegal European bananas.
Ooh.
Yes, buddy. What?
Let me read this while you do that.
Okay. All right.
This is on the same topic of sort of creating the narrative. Quote, Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans are a threat to the very soul of this country. President Biden tweeted last September, the first time that he explicitly singled out the former president. Quote, MAGA Republicans aim to question not only the legitimacy of past elections, but elections being held now and into the future. Listen to what this is the big tweet from Biden, basically calling MAGA people terrorists, but not even just terrorists, spiritual terrorists, threatening the very soul of the country. And then MAGA Republicans aim to question. So they literally are spiritual terrorists because they aim to question the system, questioning
legitimacy of
intending to question the system makes MAGA Republicans domestic terrorists, spiritual terrorists. It's wild.
The theme, this will come up multiple times in today's episode of making it about a spiritual thing. But real quick, because we don't, our thoughts, who cares about a couple podcasters, what they think about this? Let's hear from the Queen. Hillary Clinton speaks out on GOP chaos, Trump 2024 race on CNN. Here's what she said.
And we had very bitter battles over all kinds of things, gun control and climate change and the economy and taxes. But there wasn't this little tail of extremism wagging the dog of the Republican Party as it is today. And sadly, so many of those extremists, those MAGA extremists, take their marching orders from Donald Trump, who has no credibility left by any measure. He's only in it for himself. He's now defending himself in civil actions and criminal actions. And when do they break with him? Because at some point, maybe there needs to be a formal deprogramming of the cult members, but something needs to happen.
A formal deprogramming of the cult members.
Wow.
Just
put them in camps. How do you formally deprogram the cult members? Perhaps should we create, let's call it a re-education camp? She's literally advocating for re-education camps for her political rivals. It's so outrageously blatant that she is a fascistic authoritarian.
It's the Fourth Reich. It's the Fourth Reich.
Not even the actual politicians, but the fans of those politicians in re-education camps to deprogram their cult behavior. You know what that sounds like, Hillary? You sound like a cult leader, is what you sound like. And I love the little nod to Wag the Dog.
Yeah.
She mentions Wag the Dog. And for those who need a review, Wag the Dog was a film from 1997 that is about the government teaming up with Hollywood to fabricate a war to, out of nothing, create the media, create the narrative, create the impression to get everybody worked up to distract voters from, a presidential sex scandal in this case. But it is literally word for word giving away, again, going back to the predictive programming, going back to they have to tell you the plan. They made a movie about the government teaming up with the media and Hollywood to create a war out of nothing, and not even a literal war, just, going out, getting footage, putting it on the news every night, creating it out of entirely whole cloth for political purposes. So in one statement, she's saying, she's referencing the government and Hollywood creating narratives out of nothing to affect political change, and putting her political rivals' followers into re-education camps. And somehow, the left is, still regretful about not voting her in 2016.
Yeah, there's a part of me that wonders if this is sort of the psyop to really mobilize MAGA. And I get it. Like, in terms of votes, it's already happening. So it's almost like, yeah, it looks like, everyone's going to vote for Trump or whatever. But what we need to do then is to push that to the most extreme, which is to have another January 6th kind of moment, right? And so if they can create it organically, I think they'll be happy about it. If there's less intelligence involved in pulling that off, that's probably what they're trying to create, is to get people angry enough to do something.
In a sense, January 6th was a bit of a wag the dog.
It was.
You look at the actual footage, you look at the security footage, it's the cops
100%.
opening up the doors, people taking meandering walkabouts through the halls,
selfies,
taking pictures, taking selfies. Again, the cops opening up doors, unlocking doors for people, letting them walk around, and then and of course, Tucker got all that information, and then got all the footage, and then was let go from Fox, so nobody ever got to see it. But the whole idea that it was this armed insurrection, I still hear people calling it an armed insurrection. And it's almost entirely created out of whole cloth by the media for political purposes.
I will take maybe an unpopular stance on this.
Sure.
But Hillary might be right in that people that are like really MAGA might need some deprogramming, but it's not really the deprogramming, not obviously concentration camps, like, an official deprogramming, but the question isn't necessarily just the deprogramming. It's what are you programming in? What's replacing that programming? And of course, from Hillary's point of view, it's whatever, the Fourth Reich, neo-Nazi, fascist stuff, calling it Democrat and whatever. That stuff, right?
Fascism.
Leftist, progressive. But hey, if we can get some MAGA people to deprogram from that sort of script of the whole MAGA thing, because you're buying into sort of the right-left paradigm and everything else, and maybe come more towards the narrow path, because that would be a good sort of deprogramming. But I don't know, maybe that's too nuanced of a view.
Well, no, I mean, anybody who's ascribing to the left-right paradigm needs to be deprogrammed. I mean, that's the whole thing. That's part of what this show is for. I mean, even for us, we are actively deprogramming the installed software that says it's Republican versus Democrat, it's left versus right, pick a team and fight for it all tooth and nail. I mean, that alone needs to be deprogrammed from all of us, much in the way that you can go all the way down the list. We all need to be deprogrammed from the fall, this original sin. I mean, our whole life on Earth is an act of deprogramming. Any way you look at it, that's kind of could go deeper, but that's you get the point.
And I've been reading the 5th Generation Warfare Handbook, and there's a section in there. I had the screenshot somewhere, but basically they're talking about how there was a certain point in history. I wish I had it in front of me, but the point is that martyrs were created. They spoke out against the establishment. And this is like, hundreds of years ago. And the people that supported this individual started a movement, and many of the leaders were killed, but it caused this whole movement. And the author is pointing that out as like, hey, this is 5th generation warfare in a sense, some mobilizing people to believe and to, all this stuff. So I thought it was interesting in the context of MAGA, because that's kind of what this is. They're creating the martyr and then a movement that surrounds it. And that's been kind of the programming itself from the beginning of the Trump era. So interesting to note. But, we got hairier problems, Basil.
That's true. More vicious, bloodthirsty problems. Let's check in on the president's dog, Commander.
Yeah, so we have AP News here. Biden's
Wait,
dog.
don't we have a commander jingle?
I just played the dog.
Oh, I guess I was talking over it. Do it again.
Yeah, there you go. There he is.
I didn't hear it. I'm not sure if that's playing. There it is. There it is. Okay. This is coming from AP News. Now, we've been following Commander for many years now. Through his
The entire
dozens,
Biden presidency. We sniffed out some issues with the dogs early on. You know, it was kind of like, this is going to become a thing. As soon as they reported on it, it was like, oh, this is going to be a common thing throughout the presidency.
Yep. Again, it's a beautiful narrative building tool and a great messaging opportunity. And yes, from the first time, we're like, this will not end. We'll be talking about Commander for years. And here we are. Biden's dog Commander no longer at White House after biting incidents. President Joe Biden's dog Commander is, quote, not presently on the White House campus following a series of biting incidents involving White House staff and U.S. Secret Service officers. A spokesperson for the First Lady Jill Biden said late Wednesday.
So wait,
Elizabeth,
before you go on, we did report on the 11th bite from Commander a couple episodes ago. I don't know that there's much more in this story, this particular AP story. I don't know how much time you want to spend on it because
I'm not going to read it.
Yeah,
I was just going to read this one quote here.
Okay.
Quote, they remain grateful for the patience and support of the U.S. Secret Service and all involved as they continue to work through solutions. We remain grateful for the patience of support of the dozens of victims of our rabid, bloodthirsty dog. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you for not suing the government.
Yeah. Quote, Commander is not presently on the White House campus while next steps are evaluated. Next steps?
Commander.
Next steps for a rabid, bloodthirsty dog? Are they considering putting down Commander?
Of course they are.
Of course they are.
We're all going to die.
I'm surprised Commander had not gotten put down by a Secret Service agent during dog attacks.
I think they probably get scared. They probably pull the gun and then they're like, wait a minute, this is Joe's dog. We can't do
this. Well, that's the thing.
Dog.
With all the stories and videos of law enforcement shooting dogs for, there's a lot of reasons to protect yourself from a dog, but, there a lot of times it's totally unwarranted.
Yeah.
Law enforcement has traditionally been trigger happy for killing animals, as we'll sadly read later on in the show. But yeah, surely Commander has had multiple guns pulled on him, and God bless the patience and understanding of these poor Secret Service agents who have been laid out like a buffet for Commander.
This convinces me even more that Commander is the hero. He's the Commander and MAGA. Same level. All terrorists. You got canine terrorists. You got right-wing terrorists. The White House is surrounded. We really are getting taken over.
Infiltrated.
Trump said it best. It's surprising that Commander is alive.
They love killing.
They would love to take him out, I'm sure. But yeah, there was an InfoWars report, and we normally don't cover InfoWars, but they are sort of the alt establishment. Maybe that's something that we can start talking about, the alt establishment. Maybe. Because, and we'll mention InfoWars again later during some of the mainstream articles attacking conspiracy theorists. They list a few outlets that are the target, the pinnacle of the fake news and all that kind of stuff, and InfoWars is included. But they have a headline here: sources claim Joe Biden, quote, has punched and kicked his dogs as German Shepherd Commander removed from White House. And yeah, apparently Joe has been a little rough with Commander.
Yeah, well, let's take a look. InfoWars is reporting it a certain way.
Yeah, of course.
I almost don't necessarily want to read the
No, we need to go straight to the Owen Schroyer clip here. We'll play a few seconds. They have an 8-minute segment here.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No. Sorry, continue.
Okay. This is Owen Schroyer. Met Owen a few years ago. Good guy. Got a little passionate about some political I was trying to be more like apolitical in our conversation, but he went super political on me. But it's okay. Here he is trying to cover the Commander story. And I love his sort of cadence here.
They can't even find an HD shot of it? Boy, they really want to make sure nobody sees that footage of Joe Biden kicking a dog. So we'll make sure it gets out there. We'll put up, the crew found it. See, that's why my crew's the best in the business, right?
Okay, the crew found it. The crew found Fox News broadcasting the footage. Good job, crew. You guys are the best. You found it. Fox
you
News.
found it on Fox News.
I mean, okay.
It's not an HD. They're trying to hide it from us.
We're being too harsh.
You don't have
right there.
a 4K version. Oh, the conspiracy runs deep.
Yeah.
The crew's already
we're
got
just
it. So we're
blasting
gonna
it. They're
put
doing
up
fine.
This HD version. We're going to put up this HD version cut onto the War Room channel by itself.
Okay, hold on. So the clip itself is Joe taking the dog out of a helicopter, I think, going into a car. He's got the dog on a leash. And, the dog's kind of doing a thing, and Joe kind of trips over him. Dogs do that. They walk around you.
When you see it, they only play this footage once at full speed. Now, by the way, this report is a full 5-minute report.
It's
AJ and the other guy, they're going back and forth. They're talking about how evil Biden is because he kicks a dog. They play the clip once at full speed, and then 15 times after that in slow motion. 15 times over 5 minutes. I did the math. They are playing this clip every 18 seconds. And it's like a 10-second clip. So on average, every 8 seconds for 5 whole minutes, they are replaying this clip of when you see it at full speed. He's obviously, tripping over the dog. He does a little stumble. He lifts his leg.
He does hit the side of his head, but dogs are tough, man, especially German Shepherds. He didn't even feel it.
Yeah, it kind of catches him in the side. And look, it's been a long time since I have had dogs until recently when I got my coyote killers. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, anybody out there with dogs, especially young dogs, those suckers are walking right in front of you 90% of the time. It's like there's some sort of divine ordinance for dogs that they just
they protect you. Yeah, they need to protect you.
To be right in front of you as you are walking. So it happens all the time. And, it's pretty obvious. This is kind of the unfortunate part about this. It is unfortunate that, Biden's old. He's tripping all the time. The dog is trying to kill the Secret Service agents. The dog is obviously trying to kill Biden. He goes in front of Biden. He trips. Thankfully, he catches himself. I mean, this so easily could have been another clip of Biden just totally eating dirt on camera. But it's funny because if you slow down and slow it down to the right speed, it looks like Joe Biden. He's kicking him. Yeah, he's just winding up and just kicking him so hard right in the side. But you have to cut it. You have to cut it at the right spot. You have to play it at the right speed. You have to play it 15 times every 8 seconds. Whether it was purposeful or not, it was almost like a very well-executed brainwashing session on InfoWars. You see it with your own eyes, and you go, oh, Biden tripped over his dog. But then they harp on it, play it over and over and over, adjust the footage, and just tell you over and over and over, he kicked his dog, he kicked his dog, he's kicked his dog. And now the story is that Joe Biden kicked his dog.
Well, it's kind of a reverse 9/11 kind of tactic, because remember 9/11, it happened, and then the news for 2 weeks was the buildings getting hit, over and over and over.
Yeah.
So we need to deprogram with Joe kicking Commander over and over and over until it's embedded in our minds. There's no question. There's no doubt. Yeah. Joe hates dogs. Joe
Mass
kicks
trauma.
dogs. Yeah,
to put it on the news
Commander
every night for years and create some mass trauma about Biden kicking his dog.
But anyway, I just thought it was hilarious that
no, it's good. And again,
would do that.
Whatever the reality is of the Commander situation, it certainly has been helpful in understanding the problems that Joe Biden's administration and campaign has had. It's a beautiful story told through animals.
What other way would we ever want news, political stories, especially.
No, it's
Animals really
it's hilarious
soften
because it is
the blow.
kind of like a children's book.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Because children's books, they tell sort of real life stories that help children sort of put their own lives in context. The puppy wants a cookie, the puppy can't have a cookie, whatever. It's animals living sort of the lives of humans, and that helps you develop your sense of the world for children's books. And it's kind of similar in this way. It's like, here's a dog, Commander, he's so cute, and he's just like you. And then the president kicks him over and over and over. Vote for Trump.
Yeah. Speaking of which, it's
Friday.
It is. Well, is it Friday? Oh, I was gonna hit Wednesday. Good thing you told me.
I know. I had to get ahead.
Yeah. By the way, Hillary, speaking of children's books, somebody write the Hillary Pillory MAGA book. Children's book.
It's Friday.
Yeah.
There you go. We can keep playing with the Friday thing.
We're gonna learn today.
Cause it's Friday. You ain't got no job. And you ain't got shit.
Are you not entertained?
It's Friday. It's Friday.
Yep, it's for
Deal. Oh, did you cut out?
Congratulations.
Oh,
Okay.
You're there.
Well, the RSS listeners will hear my wonderful intro. Anyways, we're here. We made it to Friday. We're excited about this. This is wonderful. Gons, anything happening since Wednesday that you need to tell the world?
Yeah, there was a few things, but I'm pulling an audible. I asked ChatGPT to write me a poem about Hillary and Pillory.
Uh-oh.
So here
you
it
did
is.
it just now.
Just now, yeah. Hillary stood on the town's square side. With dreams and hopes she could not hide. But with every step, ambition's thrill, she found herself in a pillory still. This is Hillary in a pillory, not MAGA people, but okay. The pillory's grip, though tight and mean, couldn't suppress her spirit's sheen. For every jeer, a lesson learned. For every shout, a badge she earned. Hillary's journey, filled with mystery, from pillory's grip to written history. A tale of resilience, a song of will, of a woman named Hillary climbing the hill.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got to put Commander in there somewhere.
I know.
But
I
it's
gotta,
not bad.
I got to
ChatGPT.
expand the prompt there, but yeah, there it is.
And for those who need a reminder, pillory is an attack or ridicule publicly. Goodness gracious. Great job, PPP.
A pillory is also that wooden device, like a prisoner device where you stick your head through and your hands through.
Oh,
Those old school.
Little. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was referencing.
Oh.
I know the other reference,
I guess
but
that
it was
makes
more
sense.
of a literal. Yeah. So there
I
you go.
guess that makes sense. Yeah, because you do that publicly and
Yeah.
you ridicule and humiliate somebody
Right.
in public in a pillory. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I see you have a note here. Do you want to talk about your note?
No, I'm gonna skip. I'm gonna
Okay.
wait. I'm gonna save that for another time.
Well, Guns, I got a couple of things to talk about. Number one, we're talking about Commander, an animal who's fighting for his right. And he's sort of, previously we had talked about Commander in the context of Antifa. Like Commander represents the far left, and he's causing damage to the establishment, to law enforcement, but Biden's sort of ignoring the problem, but ultimately he'll have to put it down or ship it away, something like that. That was sort of the first context we interpreted the messaging. But Commander's not the only one fighting back against the system. Yeah. And unfortunately, I have a very sad story here. I'm not going to lie. I saw this headline and I thought, oh, this is hilarious. Let's check this out. But then as I'm reading it, I think I felt what a father like you feels when you read a news story about a child dying. Because I almost couldn't even make it through this whole story. This is coming from New York Post, and the headline is escaped pet emu. Sound familiar, folks? I'm telling you, I've had many escaped pet emus recently, but escaped pet emu dies as Arizona cops lasso and wrestle it.
Oh, no.
Quote, Richard was our family, and they killed her. It's a trans emu. Oh, no.
Emu. We have a trans emu.
Dude, I have had several sort of shocking, unfortunate sort of violence against my emus, usually perpetrated by the emus themselves, just being stupid and like running into barbed wire fences and stuff. But, you know, for police brutality to snuff out the beautiful light shining from an emu is seriously troubling to me. An Arizona family is grieving the death of its beloved emu, accusing cops of snapping the big bird's neck while lassoing the unusual pet after she escaped.
Oh, how dare they? Unusual pet, come on.
I can't handle this. The, quote, awesome and, quote, fun 6-foot emu named Richard before her owners realized she was a female. That's how I know this is a real story, because it's sort of I've lived it, and it's sort of infamous about emus. You just have no idea if it's a boy or a girl until they're full grown and start laying eggs. But named Richard, before her owners realized she was female, was pictured calmly walking around near her family's Phoenix home.
Oh my gosh, they're like interviewing the people, and they're showing the kids play with the emu.
Calm. Was just very calm, just wandering around like emus do. Onlooker Michael Davis told Fox 10 Phoenix, not aggressive at all, not threatening. Davis called through the unusual report of emu on the loose to Maricopa County Sheriff's Department, then filmed with growing horror as deputies struggled to capture the 6-year-old bird, typically only seen in Australia. And there's a video. I have not watched the video. I'm going to watch the video.
It at and the news anchor, like the little lady anchor at the end, couldn't look like she was tearing up. Like
it's affecting the whole community. There's big, beautiful birds being snuffed out by untrained, uncaring, thoughtless law enforcement. And
defund the police.
Let me see here.
Emu lives matter.
Here it is. The footage showed a deputy grabbing Richard by the neck to try to yank him into the squad car's open doors just for the big bird to collapse, with officers admitting to bystanders that it appeared no longer to be breathing. It kind of had like almost like a George Floyd feel. Like
I was going to say, it's very much George Floyd. Yeah. They're really, defund the police because they kill black people and emus now.
Maricopa County, haven't they had famous problems with law enforcement brutality before? It's sort of ringing a bell, but I don't know. I don't know
the top of my head.
Right off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And of course, the 11-year-old son's first response was, well, did they call animal control? Did they call wildlife response? I'm really going to miss her. And so, they didn't do that. These deputies thought that they could take it into their own hands, thought they were going to be emu cowboys and cause more damage than it deserves. Man, oh man, I would definitely sue if I was this family.
Oh, yeah.
This requires compensation. Especially because...
Yeah, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. No.
I was just going to say that it does sort of lead folks like yourself into the animals have personhood rights, which is just a slippery slope to the robots. So
every animal has rights not to be choked out by the police for no reason. I'm willing to stand on that hill.
What about robots? You extend that grace to robots.
Robots can get choked out by the cops. That's fine.
You savage.
I would love to see the cops try to choke out a robot. Anyways, very sad, hits me right in the feels, and totally unrelated from this. I want to let everybody know here during the show that there's something fun going on. Sir Ike, the master and commander of the supply drop, had a great idea, and we're going to go with it.
Cool.
I said it in the pre-show, but I'll say it here for everybody else. We really lost momentum on ratings and reviews. Here's the thing, folks. We've gotten a lot of criticism in the past for like pitching so many things. We just have so much going on. And no, it's not all about producing and stuff, but we got a lot going on. You know, it's been a while since I've mentioned the Discord channel. Join the Discord. Go to canarycry.party. You know, it's been a while since I've mentioned canarycry.community. It's been a while since I've mentioned a lot of things. And we kind of gave up talking about reviews a while back. So I'm just going to mention it here. There's a fun giveaway being executed by our supply drop system and coordinators to get the ball rolling on ratings and reviews. So here's the thing. If you've never left a rating or a review, go leave one. Or if you've already left a rating and a review, you can update your rating and review on Apple Podcasts and get involved that way too. So for every new and updated rating or review, well, here's what you're going to do. You're going to screenshot the review as you leave it, and then email it to canarycrysupply@gmail.com. Canarycrysupply@gmail.com. Do not send it to our personal email, canarycryradio@gmail.com. Canarycrysupply@gmail.com. Send the thing there, the screenshot there, and every now and then, probably maybe once a month or maybe more, I'm not quite sure. It's all Sir Ike. Everyone who does that will be put in a bag, and there will be a little drawing every now and then, and that rating and reviewer will receive cool Canary Cry News Talk gear. You know, we've got stuff laying around. It could be, who knows? It could be a DVD of Age of Deceit. It could be stickers. It could be a shirt. It could be any number of things that we've manufactured in the past. Challenge coins, whatever. And it's a great way. I'm not sure if you have a choice or not. I don't know. That's all Sir Ike. But if you go leave a rating and a review or update it, screenshot it, send it to canarycrysupply.com. You'll be entered into the drawing, and you'll stay there. You'll stay in the bag, so if you don't win the first one, maybe you'll get picked the next time. I think this is really fun, a great way to get some cool stuff out to people and get the momentum going on the ratings and reviews again. And remember, it's easy. So specifically, we prefer to get ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts.
Sorry,
but if you have an Android, you don't have access to Apple Podcasts, even though I think you can do it on the browser. I'd have to double check. So anybody can leave a rating and a review. But I'll extend this to Audible. Audible has ratings and reviews. Wherever there are ratings and reviews, go leave one. And maybe you do have Apple Podcasts and you update your review there. You can also go leave one on Audible and send that in. And so you can get your stuff in there multiple times, get a great chance to win some stuff, sort of in perpetuity, sort of. So please go do that. It really helps us out to have that momentum moving. It does wonders for new people finding the show or people finding it and reading the reviews, being excited about it. So that would really help us out. Thank you very much. And with that, Guns, it's time to thank some executive producers.
Executive producers.
You know it. We're on the value for value model, which means we take no money from corporations, commies, or cartels. Nope. We only live because the producers make it so. And go to canarycry.support to learn more about that. But the executive producers, they're people who come in with $100 or more for an individual episode. And we thank them here at the top. They're very special to us. And so we have one executive producer today, Gons.
Okay.
And I bet everybody could guess who it is. That is executive producer Sir Alex Protocol, V2 Knight of the Berean Protocol. He comes in for $100.33. He is on a 219 episode streak altogether. Streakalicious. And is now officially an executive producer Rocket Man.
Rocket Man, burning out his fuse out here alone.
Oh, he's alone for sure.
That's right. He is. He stands out amongst the crowd. He is alone. 15 executive producerships in a row. incredible. We are so grateful to Sir LX Protocol V2, Out of the Brain Protocol, for executive producing this many times in a row, but also grateful to God for making this a possibility in Sir LX Protocol's life. That is incredible. I'm very thankful to the Lord for his hand in Sir LX Protocol's financial situation. It's really incredible. We love to see it.
Yep.
And I believe that is all of our executive producers for today. So thank you very much, Sir LX Protocol V2, Out of the Brain Protocol.
For the 15th time.
Where'd you find this?
In a row, I should say.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back to the news, I'd say. Oh, just a real quick mention. Go to canarycrimemeetups.com. You can see all the meetups going on. Go to them. If there's not one near you, put it on yourself. But there was a change in the schedule, for the New Braunfels, Texas meetup. Let's see. There's been many dates for this. It was the 22nd, then it was the 19th, and then it was the 21st. And folks, I'm here to tell you, the New Braunfels, Texas meetup is officially on Saturday, October 21st. Saturday, October 21st.
Hold on. You told me to change it to the 19th. Maybe you meant
I don't
change
think
it
so,
from the 21st. It was already set to 21st. So
okay,
I'll
settle
change it
down.
back.
I told you to check the email is what I told you to do.
You
It
did?
says
Okay.
the 21st, Saturday,
Right. I think that's
October
what I had.
21st at Landa Park by the ranger station at noon. New Braunfels, Texas, Landa Park, ranger station, noon. Go do it. It's going to be awesome. She's got a lot of cool okay, that is all. Go check that out. And now it's time for Flippy.
It is updated on the website there, so there you go. All right, Flippy time.
Great, wonderful.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
It's time for the Flippy update. Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses.
And resurrecting
we use talking
grandma.
about Flippy. We talk about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world. And a nice short one here today, Guns. The headline from Reuters is Japan's startup develops Gundam-like robot with $3 million price tag. For those who don't know, maybe you're an old timer, but Gundam is a Japanese anime which features lots of gigantic space robots that are piloted by people that fight each other in very cool samurai Japanese ways. So they've made it a reality. We've seen this. There's been a number of Gundam-themed giant robots, but this one sticks out. Tokyo-based startup Tsubame Industries. What does Tsubame mean? You know?
Tsubame, not sure.
Okay. Tsubame Industries has developed a 4.5 meter tall, that's 14.8 feet, four-wheeled robot that looks like a mobile suit Gundam from the wildly popular Japanese animation series, and it can be yours for $3 million.
Hey.
Called Arcax, after the avian dinosaur Archaeopteryx. The robot has cockpit monitors that receive images from cameras hooked up to the exterior so that the pilot can maneuver the arms and hands with joysticks from inside its torso. The 3.5-ton robot, which will be unveiled at the Japan Mobility Show after this month, has two modes, the upright robot mode and vehicle mode, which it can travel up to 10 kilometers per hour. Quote, Japan is very good at animation, games, robots, and automobiles, so I thought it would be great if I could create a product that compressed all these elements into one. The 25-year-old chief executive Tsubame Industries, Ryo Yoshida.
I just found out what Tsubame means, and it makes sense.
What is it?
It's swallow. No, not that. The bird.
The bird. Oh, okay.
So
I don't know why that makes sense.
Bird reference, man.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. Which happens often with giant robots. They're always referencing us. Now, we've seen giant robots before. In fact, we almost tried to buy one. One of these giant robots was for sale for like $60,000,
right.
which is a lot of money, but we thought, if we we could possibly kickstart it. Interesting enough, the robot we almost bought later on turned out to have been painted by Sir Dove at a car show or something.
Oh,
or no,
right.
Sorry. Dove painted the car that the giant robot was displayed as destroying. I believe that's what it was.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I remember.
we always have these connections, man. It's crazy. It says later on, Yoshida plans to build and sell 5 of the machines for the well-heeled robot fan, but hopes the robot could one day be used for disaster relief or the space industry. Very interesting. A couple very interesting things. It was presented at the Mobility Show, Japan Mobility Show, which references like wheelchairs and scooters and stuff like that. I don't know if that's exactly what this is. Maybe we could look into it. But at least in the U.S., a mobility show means, it's about people who need help mobilizing, being mobile. It's wheelchairs, electric scooters, stuff like that. So to have this giant robot, even the giant Gundam robot, the most ridiculous possible $3 million wheelchair you could buy, is being sort of marketed as a medical device. It's, hey, if you're a millionaire and you're tired of your rascal scooters, drop $3 million, get yourself a giant robot. I mean, there's so many problems with mobility in the world, ramps not being where they should be.
Just walk over the ramp.
Yeah, this is the ultimate mobility device. Wow. And $3 million, I mean, that's a serious price. It's very expensive, but that shows me that they are serious about actually creating this as a product. Previously, when we see these giant robots made, it's just like a showpiece. They bring it to fairs and they show it off, or they try to sell a TV show or something about it. It's always a one-off. It's never manufactured. So this will be, I believe, the first giant battle robot manufactured as a product for sale. And of course, it's for the sort of deserving mobility challenged person in our lives. Yoshida became interested in manufacturing at an early age, learning how to weld at his grandfather's ironworks, and then going on to found a company that produces myoelectric prosthetic hands. See, so it is mobility based. He said he is eager to keep Japan's competitive edge in manufacturing alive. I hope to learn from previous generations and carry on the tradition. Good Japanese boy, Gons.
Well, there's a lot of elderly in Japan, and maybe they're not so happy about life. And so we're going to have, grumpy old men riding grumpy Gundams. Better watch out.
Yeah, there's always those funny videos of like some lady on a rascal scooter holding up traffic or driving it at unusual places.
And now we're going to have a humongous Gundam just in line at like trying to get some, I don't know, what's the Japanese candy? Hamburger in a bag. Sweet hamburgers in a bag at a vending machine. That's the kind of stuff Japan
exactly.
Makes,
They're going to need to start making giant vending machines so the mobility challenge can use their giant robot to get something. Yeah. There you go. Nice short one today. Thanks, everybody. This is your Flippy update for the day.
Sounds good. Where are we going next here? Let's keep
Discover a future you can't wait to navigate. Japan Mobility Show.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Yeah, they got to mobilize the robots, man.
Yeah,
that's what the mobility is about. Okay,
we're gonna check ticket prices real quick, in case anybody wants to go check it out. Okay, it's many days.
Is it in Japan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's in Japan. There's a 20,000 ticket limit, so don't miss out. And the tickets are sold online only, and there's no button for it.
Maybe too late. Maybe it's sold out.
Here we go. 4,000 yen.
Yeah, it's about $40.
It's like $5.
No. It's like $40. Yeah. Oh, usually take two zeros away. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
All right. Well, from robots to the overlords, I guess.
We need a great reset.
State-sponsored propaganda machinery.
Got a pair of stories here that, man, we do a lot of these sort of mainstream article deconstructions when they talk about conspiracy theorists, because they've long targeted the conspiracy theorist as, bad people for the establishment, and they continue to do so. So it's nothing new in that regard, but a pair of articles that really got my blood boiling. The first one here is from KUOW.org, and the headline here, and it's actually a mirror of an NPR article. The headline being, "People working on climate solutions are facing a big obstacle: conspiracy theories." Oh, the biggest obstacle of them all, Basil.
Yes.
And
yes.
They list 5 people who wrote this article. I will not name them all, but there's 5 writers of this article. Keep that in mind. And here's how it reads. Communities big and small are trying to rein in climate change, but many people working on these climate solutions are running into a big obstacle: falsehoods and conspiracy theories about their work. So what does this mean for fighting global warming? To talk about the current state of climate disinformation, we checked in with 3 NPR reporters who have reported on climate disinformation in the media. So 5 authors interviewed, 5 people at NPR interviewed 3 NPR reporters to come up with this article.
Reporters interviewing reporters.
In the same organization.
Yeah. Notice how they don't actually go out and talk to scientists, climate scientists about this. They're not talking to the experts now. And this is sort of the culmination of a trend we've seen recently, which is, the mainstream media being further and further or less and less connected from the thing that they're reporting on. They are not even talking to the scientists. And you know why? Because as we've seen recently, the climate scientists are coming out and saying, yeah, their research is being, threatened and taken over and misinterpreted.
And if you want funding, you gotta peddle a certain narrative. And
by
really
the media. The media is enforcing a narrative on the scientists. So they don't even have to go talk to scientists anymore. They just talk to the other reporters. Yep. I mean, if this is not a beautiful example of the sort of peak shameful behavior of journalists.
Yeah, peak echo chamber too. Like, they always accuse conspiracy theorists of being in echo chambers, but hello, this is like the ultimate echo chamber. Okay,
they're yelling into their echo chamber, and they're telling everybody to believe it. Because look, other journalists say so.
Yeah. Other journalists from the same organization. Climate Solutions reporter Julia Simon, media correspondent David Folkenflick. I guess, hold on, let me just double check here, because I guess some of those names are, okay. So 3 of the people that are mentioned is listed as the 5. So, all right, I'm a little get excited there, but it's okay. Still, that's a lot of people to write this article. What kind of false narratives about climate are we talking about? Well, they talk a little bit about how the fossil fuel interests will, the fossil fuel companies are the ones that trickled out some falsehoods about climate change and some of the solutions proposed. But, they start getting into the 15-minute cities, which they love to do. They always talk about the 15-minute city, especially recently. But they get into it here, and they quote one of the guys here, Huo Jingnan, who's a writer at NPR. The false narratives surrounding 15-minute cities is but one part of a larger, sprawling conspiracy theory called the Great Reset. And I have to say, for like the 1,000th time on the show, it is not a conspiracy theory. The World Economic Forum themselves have published, we need a reset, great reset. Klaus Schwab, the guy in charge of it, wrote a book and a sequel about the Great Reset. So, it's really just sad when, it really is sad when all they do is just say it's a sprawling conspiracy theory called the Great Reset, because that's not what it is. The theory goes,
they're asking us not to believe our own eyes.
Yes. And this person elaborates. The theory goes, and this is the straw man, that a shadowy global elite, often Jewish, wants to strip away ordinary people's freedoms and make us live a life of deprivation Under this theory, 15-minute cities are a ploy to take away people's freedom to move around.
What does often Jewish even mean? They're admitting right there that it's not even about Jewish people. They're just saying often about Jews. They might as well say often European, often males, often people wearing suits.
Yeah, well, they're trying to say that the people that believe it are anti-Semitic. That's the implications there. Yeah. And so this article, because it's adopted from a podcast, I think they needed to do some editing. But they list a bunch of stuff here, more about false narratives and climate change. And
journalists, five journalists getting together to do a podcast and then writing an article about the podcast.
Yeah. We should do that.
I'm going to puke. I just
puked
a little bit,
We should start doing that. What is the role of the media in all of this? They mentioned the renewable energies misinformation, the Maui fire recovery misinformation. David Folkenflick. Different kinds of false information spread in different ways. But if you're considering misleading claims about climate, that's predominantly on the right, of course. And then that involves an information ecosphere defined by Joe Rogan, as we heard above, but also Alex Jones, Breitbart, The Daily Wire, The Daily Mail, The New York Post, and above all, Fox News.
Oh,
so again, we need to start talking about
they are so out of touch.
I know. I get it. But it is sort of I will say they are identifying the alt establishment, as I think we'll start calling it the alt establishment there, because you got your Joe. They are established. They are mainstream culture, and they did rise in the ashes of mainstream media, so to speak. So. Because the world is really paying attention to those outlets more so than NPR now. It's kind of a sad state of affairs for outlets like that. The funny thing is, and this is back to David here, the funny thing is that they are at once testers and popularizers of things that have gotten some traction online. And then you hear prominent figures on the right picking up the melody. Yeah, back when he was on Fox earlier, they talk about Tucker Carlson, blah, blah, blah. They really just don't like Fox. And they talk about how, it's they test these ideas, and then if the internet catches on, then they'll, the right will make it a big deal. And it's like, okay, all right. And they talk about the deadly Capitol riot. The deadly Capitol riot, which, of course, the deaths did not come as a direct result of anything that occurred there. But, let's leave that part out.
Yeah, or the one death was from
the guy inside shooting shooting a Trump supporter who was there. Yeah. So, okay.
Nothing. Keep going.
Okay. They quote Huo. It is a distraction from the issues we need to work on. If these narratives ring true to you, and they mention all these narratives, you might think that climate activists aren't really talking about climate, but about something else. So much so they could be secret agents of the government trying to take away your freedoms.
No, another straw man, as we know, has been reported in the mainstream media. It's not that they're a secret shadowy cabal trying to deceive anybody. It's that incentives are aligned for these scientists. They are explicitly incentivized to interpret their data in a way that supports the current narrative. And if they don't do that, they don't get published.
I'm glad you brought up straw man, and I'm glad we've brought it up multiple times, because Huo continues, one interesting example of a straw man here, bringing up the straw man, is one of the subplots of the Great Reset conspiracy theory, which is that the government wants to force people to eat insects. Including insects in the human diet has been an idea on the edge of climate circles. The mainstream idea is simply to eat less meat, but it attracted more attention over the years because many news outlets, including NPR, are easily intrigued by the idea of eating something seen as exotic. Yeah, this is what creepy people that, not creepy people necessarily, but, sort of trying to defend the idea instead of, because they can't deny the fact that they've been peddling this idea of eating bugs. So it's just funny how they have to do that.
Side by side of NPR headlines, and it was like from a couple years ago or something. It's NPR headline, something like, ew, eating bugs is gross. Can you believe it? And then their headline next to it from like last year is like, if you don't want to eat bugs, you're a racist.
You're a white supremacist.
Right.
I continue on. They target Alex Jones here. And that gets turned into raw material for conspiracy theorists like Alex Jones in March 2022. March 2022, okay? Alex Jones, coming food crisis, recommends more sustainable diet of, wait for it, fly larva. Fly larva. Fly larva. They wrote it 3 times. Or maybe they said it 3 times in the show and they wrote it 3 times when they transcribed it. Simon says, and a muddied information landscape about climate solutions can sometimes complicate the process of getting them enacted, says Jeannie King, head of climate research and policy of the Institute of Strategic Dialogue. So, okay, so they're going after Alex Jones for saying that, they're trying to get us to eat fly larvae. Well, maybe these people should do like a Google search before they publish anything, because in March of 2023, not even a year after Alex Jones said this, there was a big a study by nature.com. Inoculation with black soldier fly larva alters the microbiome and volatile organic compound profile of decomposing food waste. And also there was a abc.a. Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped the thing. There we go. Yeah, it was Yahoo News, mirroring IndyStar. Same thing. Scrub Hub. Can you raise black soldier fly larvae to produce a sustainable compost? That was April of this year. So, yeah. Hello. Mainstream media has picked up on the fly larva story a year after Alex Jones said it. So, again, do a little Google search before you say anything. Quote, in the end, it actually doesn't matter if 99% of the public believe in climate change, King says. Quote, if you're able to embed real fear and seeds of doubt about the solutions that are on the table, you end up with the same outcome, which is no legislative agenda, no meaningful policy proposals, no local action, end quote. More about how fear-mongering affects solutions. And they mention here, they talk about how to break the cycle of disinformation and rumors. And I love this part here. For other journalists and others, it's tricky. You do need to address falsehoods and fact check them. But by fact checking, you're also sometimes elevating these ideas that may not get widespread currency. Kind of like how we've been calling out, like, you take a social media post with like 5 views and 3 likes or something, and you're calling it these like, yeah. So interesting that they would say that. News organizations, including NPR, generally try to balance those imperatives as they plan out coverage. Okay. Back to
we strategize on how to deliver a message without triggering people into believing the opposite. Yeah, kind of like the FBI.
And remember how I said how, with Hillary's quote from earlier, they're really just showing themselves out to be totalitarian fascists. And, the Fourth Reich right now just coming to fruition. Huo, also, I would say, part of the Fourth Reich. When it comes to social media, the platforms can change how they label, recommend, and moderate content to change what users see and how they interact with platforms. Studies by researchers who were able to run experiments on Facebook and Instagram during the 2020 elections showed that changing the algorithm changes user behavior, sometimes leading to less time spent on the platforms. So, okay, all right, you've been trying to change the algos for a while. Okay, that's one way. Another way, there's also the practice of pre-bunking. We've talked about pre-bunking because they've talked about it, like a form of inoculation against bad information, which has 2 strands. One way involves preventatively unraveling specific false claims before they reach a critical mass. So like a Minority Report for anything said on the internet, apparently. Another is essentially news literacy training. We've heard this one too. To help equip people with tools to evaluate such claims critically. These things have to be done in a way that appeals to the people they're trying to reach, not patronize them, and also acknowledge that known facts sometimes change, as they have for COVID-19. So very funny. All the same talking points we've heard before, but also leaving wiggle room to be wrong, because I think they've learned a little bit the last few years. It's like, don't double down on things if you're not sure, because you're probably going to be wrong and you're probably going to lose credibility for peddling that kind of stuff. And, more
deprogramming.
while we do not have enough experimental studies on altering platform design to draw conclusions beyond specific interventions, experts in the field place hope in them. That their hope is that the algos will change the behavior of the people. So, yep. And then, randomly at the end here, Seth Rich's killing was exploited on Fox News and online. His parents are fed up. I don't know why that's even in there, but there you go. That's NPR. And real quickly here, because, we're just on this, ABC Australia had this headline, how conspiracy theories became intertwined with prejudice and paranoia across the globe. And, it's a similar article. They talk about how all this stuff happens, but they specifically interview U.S. author and cultural historian Colin Dickey. And he says that anxiety, paranoia, loneliness, and a yearning for control in often uncontrollable circumstances all lead to conspiracy theories' proliferation, he told ABC RN's Late Night Live. And they go through a whole bunch here, and they talk about the history of conspiracy theories. It's been a thing since America was founded. There were always conspiracy theorists kind of theorizing about the secrecy and all that kind of stuff. And then there's a segment titled The Eye. The Eye. Another example of a conspiracy theory that has gotten out of control is the one that surrounds the Eye of Providence, a common Christian symbol that appears on the U.S. $1 bill in 1862. Yeah, come on. Christian symbol, man. Come on. It's God's eye.
Masons do consider themselves to be Christian.
Well, the symbol was also used by the Freemasons, a fraternal organization dating to the 14th century. The iconic triangular symbol with an eye set in the middle has contributed to a number of conspiracy theories, Dr. Dickey says. Quote, this is a quote, "There's nothing malevolent or nefarious about it. But the thing about these symbols is they linger on much longer than their actual meaning does," he says. Yeah. Dr. Dickey says in the last 6 to 7 decades, people began to associate the symbol with the Illuminati. I thought that was kind of an interesting take. 60 years ago, people were looking at the all-seeing eye and saying, hey, Illuminati, pretty good. And then they talk about the Bavarian Illuminati, which existed. So they acknowledge the fact that a real group called the Illuminati existed with Adam Weishaupt and all that kind of stuff. Who is at risk of believing? That's what it is. We're really worried about who is going to believe these conspiracy theories. And here it says, some studies suggest that people with an intuitive rather than analytical mindset are more likely to believe them, or that having a lack of education and being able to question and test the accuracy of information plays a role too. Oh, so the inability to ask questions is what makes them susceptible to conspiracy theories. Ironic, since earlier we talked about, there was an article that said how, was it Joe Biden who said, oh, they're questioning the official narrative that makes them conspiracy theory MAGA extremists.
It's absolutely opposite. I mean, the conspiracy theorists are inherently asking questions, and that's what leads them to alternate ideas than the mainstream narrative. Right. And, this whole practice, this whole article and the last article, it's a practice. It is its own practice in brainwash, because notice we talked about it during the pandemic for a couple different things. And what they want to do is make you feel crazy. Yeah. They want you to feel less. They want you to feel alone. They say lonely people are the conspiracy theorists. They want you to feel alone. They want you to question your own senses. They want you to question your questions. It's this act of not only creating a caricature of you for your friends to reference, but also to get you to feel alone, like you're crazy. This is a classic example of them doing that.
Yeah. They'll get into that in a second here. They quote this lady here, Yolanda Jetton, the head of School of Psychology at the University of Queensland, and she talked about how conspiracy theories are rife here in Australia as in the U.S. It says here, research can't sufficiently explain why. Why are conspiracy theories spreading so far, Basil? Maybe it's because there's like truth to them, maybe, particularly in recent times.
In science, when your question is not... if you're not able to answer it, if your pursuit is not yielding results or even the possibility of results, that means you need to change your question.
Right.
And they don't want to change
They
their
don't want to
question.
change the question. Yeah.
Because they're working with the presupposition that these conspiracy theories are false. And so they'll never find the answer to the question they're looking for.
Yep. Particularly in recent times of uncertainty, quote, you suddenly have so many people embracing these conspiracy theories, she says, talking about the COVID lockdowns, post-COVID. However, there's often a common element between those who go furthest down conspiracy rabbit holes. They're often, quote, quite lonely people.
Yeah.
Quote, they're often at the margins of society. They have lower status positions. Look how she talks down to these people. And by actually believing these conspiracy theories online and having others who believe them too, you create a bit of a community. Yeah, you community of loners, and you actually set yourself apart in a positive way because you know things the rest of us don't. Yeah. Just horrendous authoritarian sort of thing here. Dr. Dickey agrees. He says conspiracy theory can offer the illusion of a sense of order. And quote, even if that order seems malevolent or terrifying, it's still more comforting than the idea of chaos and randomness, which is hilarious. And then they interview Axel Bruns, professor in the Digital Media Research Center. And I love this part right here. They talk about the 5G conspiracy theory, how it exploded during COVID. The 5G theories pre-existed the pandemic, but then, quote, cross-fertilized with literally everything, he says, the guy who's being interviewed here. Quote, the Illuminati, the Antichrist, Bill Gates, Hungarian-American businessman, George Soros, the Great Reset, the UN, anything else basically that you could think of was rolled into this cluster of conspiracy theories that didn't really need to make sense. Professor Bruns says social media platforms need to do more to stop the spread of conspiracy theories. And he says it's an ongoing arms race. Hello, fifth generation warfare. They're literally saying that the information war is an arms race. So great. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Professor Bruns says that they should do more deplatforming. We are victims of deplatforming here, Basil, myself, and Canary Cry. Yep. Deleting or banning the accounts.
Times over.
Yeah, many people. Yeah, many times over, and many people within our niche here. Prominent figures who share conspiracy theories or misinformation. Quote, deplatforming works. It doesn't remove the info altogether. It doesn't completely cut off the flow of problematic information. Not facts, not truth. No, just problematic information that is against the narrative. But it reduces the visibility and it limits the access to that problematic content quite substantially, end quote, he says. So it protects at least the bulk of the population reasonably well. Wow, spoken like a true social engineer there, guy.
Yeah, it's hilarious going back to some of the opening stories about FBI considering MAGA people terrorists. You know, we had officially documents from, I believe, the DOJ talking about how misinformation, disinformation, malinformation is considered terrorism.
Right.
And in what we learned from Afghanistan is that if you kill a terrorist, another one just pops up. You can't stop it. We did that for 20 years. And it's funny because they're repeating this erroneous piece of information, which is, oh no, all you got to do, take them down, that solves the problem. And it's this, first of all, wrong. And second of all, it's the same way to perpetuate the war that is unwinnable against misinformation, malinformation, disinformation, a war that arguably they shouldn't even be fighting, but for whatever reason they feel they do need to. So it's interesting how it mirrors almost exactly what they are saying about terrorism, but they were giving the opposite advice. They're giving the wrong information about how to deal with terrorists. Again, just to presumably stretch out the war forever for funding, grants, the continual protection of the media, the elevation of journalists, the worship of scientists, these sorts of things. Just by, lying about it frequently.
Yeah, there you go.
I see you saw my message there, Guns.
I did. Wow.
Yeah. So here's the thing, folks. Gons is a good father, and he needs to go pick up his children and not leave that cute little baby samurai princess on the side of the road after school. So he has to go do that right now. And we will catch up on the rest of the producers on Monday, and we will also finish the rest of the stories. You know, it's almost like we shouldn't do the rundown, because then people wouldn't know when we aren't able to do all the stories.
Yeah.
But, you know, life calls, and so does that cute little baby of yours.
Yeah.
So thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this episode. Thank you to all of our producers, whether they come in with their time, their talent, or their treasure. I hope this does not discourage anybody from producing the show in the future, but we will thank you doubly on Monday. And of course, thank you to our artists. If you want to send us any reports to take a look at, go to canarycry.report. If you want to send us art, go to canarycry.art. Those are so easy. I thought they were so easy, but apparently not. And also, send your ratings and reviews into canarycrysupply.com to get into the raffle bag there. Oh, of course, thank you to the Clippies. Thank you to the timestampers. Thank you to everyone who's involved in keeping this show alive. It means everything to us, and we hope to create more and more value as life goes on. Yep. Of course, thank you to Clank for clanking around. So please share the show, folks. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Share it with your friends' family. And if that doesn't work, just go ahead, get into a giant robot, roll down the street, crush every car that gets in your way, use every gigantic vending machine possible, really make a scene. And when people go, oh no, the giant robots, they're attacking, you can open up your cockpit, wave at them and say, you should have been listening to Canary Cry News Talk. And then they will. And then they'll wake up to the fact that the mainstream media does not have their best intentions in mind. But best interest in mind. That's right. We like to call it rattling cages. And all you got to do is walk right up to them, grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. All right, Gons, you got any last words?
Yeah, I don't want to cause any discord, but make sure I'm going to stay grumpy. That didn't make any sense.
No.
Bad grammar. Bad grammar. Staying grumpy.
It was fun. Stay grumpy, everyone.
Yeah, have a grumpy weekend,
sign off for you.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to be back here on Monday. But until then, think outside the cage.
Toilets!
Give me a break. This is not about freedom or personal choice. Need time. It's called the Omicron. They all want to shoot her dead. I wrote the bill. Get vaccinated. Get vaccinated. This is the United States of America, for God's sake. Think minority. I've ordered more pills than anyone in the world.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Bye, gold. Bye!
Thirsty for more news and analysis, not controlled by corporate media advertisers? Then try the all-new CCNT Energy Shots. Collect all 33 flavors. CCNT 500. Taste that is out of this world. Burning basil, one sip and you're dreaming. Flippy. Take back your favorite flavor. Propaganda Rooster, a toast to your comrades in farms. Rattling cages, let's shake things up. Canary Cry After Dark, what time is it? It's wake up time. Support value for value. And think outside the cage with Canary Cry News Talk. But what do I know? I'm just an AI-generated cat girl avatar. And this is a fake ad. Baka.
Value for value. We take no money from corporations, commies, or cartels.
Canary Cry support.